Welcome back to Torn Apart News, the only place on the internet where we tear the news apart bit by bit until we can finally find all the fairies that are hiding in your cats. Yes, I'm not lying, every single cat in the world is a fairy.
Why did I waste my life making this video?
No! God, please, no! No!
Now we can finally forget about the introduction and the concept and the structure of my new show. Today we're talking about the new movie Madame Web, which has left a lot of fans and non-fans and random people standing in the middle of the street completely confused.
What do you want from me? Why do you care for me? Why do you know?
What? No, dude!
What is this movie about? Is it basically across the Spider-Verse without any context whatsoever? Who is the villain? Why are people fighting? Like, I'm left with so many questions by looking at the trailer, but the most alarming thing is without a doubt the special effects, the action sequences, and also the fact that this seems to lack coherence. I mean, we're used to it by now that the Sonyverse doesn't really make that much sense if you look at Morbius, if you look at Venom, or even if you look at Kraven the Hunter, which was supposed to come out this year but has been delayed to next year because of the SAG-AFTRA strikes. I'm sitting here being like, why are there so many attractive women in this trailer, and why am I 100% convinced already they don't really have that much of a personality, or they're not written that well, mostly because every single one of them is a Spider-Woman. I had to Google this because I was like, there is no way that as a Spider-Man fan I know absolutely nothing about what this movie is about. I thought that Madame Web was supposed to be a villain, but she's not actually a villain, so I don't really understand what is going on here since the strategy for the Sonyverse has been about redeeming villains. So I did some research to try and understand what is going on, who these characters are, and to try and figure out whether we should care about it or not. Let's start by talking about Madame Web, who is basically a clairvoyant and precognitive mutant who first appears to help Spider-Man find a kidnapping victim. She's a paralyzed, blind, telepathic clairvoyant. She was originally stricken with myasthenia gravis and was connected to a life support system designed by her husband, which included a series of tubes shaped like a spider web. And in the movie itself, she's gonna be played by Dakota Johnson, and she's 100% able-bodied and pretty and walking around, so I have no idea what they did to the character, but I'm kind of confused. Maybe she's supposed to be the second Madame Web, but if you look at the cast list and who are these new actors playing, you will know that it's not possible, because Sydney Sweeney is basically playing Arachne, aka Julia Carpenter, who is supposed to be the second Madame Web once the first Madame Web dies in the comics. So I'm sitting here being like, which version of Madame Web is Dakota Johnson playing, and why does she look so confused in every single shot that she's in? And honestly, I don't really understand why she's supposed to be part of the Spider Universe. Her powers have nothing to do with spiders. I really don't understand. Is it about like the web of lies, the different timelines and stuff like that? This movie is gonna be featuring 3 different versions of Spider-Woman. So the first one, as I said before, is gonna be played by Sydney Sweeney. The second one is gonna be played by Isabella Merced, who is playing Aranya, aka Spider-Girl. And then we have Celeste O'Connor, who is playing the young Mattie Franklin, who is yet another Spider-Woman, and within the comics she's the 3rd Spider-Woman. And honestly, by looking at the cast, you can see that Emma Roberts is mentioned there, but we don't know exactly who she's playing, and my spider sense is tingling. I'm 100% sure she's gonna be playing the 4th Spider-Woman, who in this case is gonna be called Charlotte Witte. It is also possible that Emma Roberts is playing the 1st Spider-Woman, aka Jessica Drew. I actually don't understand what is going on. These people already have spider suits, they're all fighting crime, at least that's what the movie is implying. And then there is another villain who also has spider powers, but as I've read, he's not really a Spider-Man villain. In fact, he's helped Spider-Man on several occasions, and I'm talking about Ezekiel Sims. By the way, if you want to know a fun fact about this character, a variant of him was playing the spider therapist in the Across the Spider-Verse scene that we got to see a couple of months ago. No idea how that is possible or relevant, but I found it online and I was like, maybe you'd be interested in knowing. But basically, this guy has the same powers as Spider-Man, but he's a billionaire as well, and we don't know why all of these people are fighting. We just don't know, and honestly, do we care at the end of the day? I mean, the problem with this is that, are they trying to like recreate the fun of Into the Spider-Verse? Honestly, why are all these people fighting crime all at the same time? Because this is what the movie is kind of telling us, right? Very often when I'm talking about first, second, third Spider-Woman, this is sequential, as in when one dies or retires, there is a new version, and there is a new version of the comics as well. Very often there is more diversity, there is just more going on with the characters herself. But this movie is clearly saying that they're all working at the same time, kind of like a spider family, and they're part of the Spider Society as well. And I have no idea how you manage to tell all of these stories, all of this context in one movie from the perspective of Madame Web as well. I'm just so incredibly confused. But the movie is coming out February 14, 2024, so it's a Valentine's Day movie, and it's actually coming out before Kraven the Hunter, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna be putting the new release date up here, just in case I'm wrong. Is that gonna change anything within the Sonyverse or no? Maybe they're not connected at all. Who knows at this point, but fans and everyone has been talking about this film, mostly in a negative way, not in a positive way at all. This movie doesn't even have a poster. This is the best they could do. It's literally just the title, and I'm not even sure if this is official.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Let's move to the next piece of news and talk about yet another big giant IP that people have been talking about for quite some time. I'm of course talking about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The trailer is finally out and we're here to talk about it. I'm not a huge Percy Jackson fan, but I really like the concept, and I grew up with the original adaptation, which is incredibly bad. I rewatched it recently. It makes no sense. They aged up all the characters. The CGI is so incredibly bad. But now if you just look at this trailer, it looks epic. The CGI is incredible. We have 8 episodes just to talk about the first book, which is really good. We get to explore all of the different characters, their motivations, their personalities. When it comes to the casting, I really like these people. I really have some Harry Potter vibes coming from them, and I really hope that they're gonna be growing up with their roles as they adapt all of the different books in more seasons. It's gonna be 8 episodes long, and it's coming out December 20th, so very soon, and we're gonna be getting the first 2 episodes immediately, and then it's gonna be releasing on a weekly basis. And if you have no idea what this is about, here is a very short plot synopsis. And basically it's about a 12-year-old demigod called Percy Jackson, who is accused by the Greek god Zeus of stealing his thunderbolt, and he has to go on magical adventures to slay creatures, save his mother, and basically prove that he actually didn't do what they're accusing him of. This is gonna be quite fun. Let me know down in the comments if you're a fan of Percy Jackson and if you saw some important stuff going on in the trailer that I completely missed. And then the last piece of news is gonna be about a new Blumhouse movie called Imaginary.
Every culture has a name for it. We call them imaginary friends.
This looks really cool, and it's funny that they're announcing that and they're showing the trailer right after the huge worldwide success of Five Nights at Freddy's, even though it didn't really have a critical success. But Imaginary looks good. It looks low budget, it looks creepy. I really like the concept, which reminds me kind of like Insidious. There is a lot of lore about imaginary friends, basically demons trying to possess you or trying to steal you away to a different universe. I'm honestly quite hyped and I'm really looking forward to it. But if you want to know what it is about, when Jessica returns to her childhood home with her family, she finds her old stuffed bear Chansey, and that her stepdaughter Alice has grown attached to it. After Alice's behavior becomes concerning and the games that she and Chansey play turn increasingly sinister, Jessica starts realizing that Chansey is much more than the stuffed bear she believed him to be for all those years. It's coming out March 8, 2024, and I hope that it's gonna be good. Now let's head into our bonus news, where I try to rapid fire as many news as possible so that you are caught up with all the news. Let's start by talking about Coyote vs. Acme, and apparently everyone is now interested in buying the movie. Prime, Netflix and Apple are bidding for it and they want to see it. The movie has received also way more praise than what I talked about last week, and specifically from 2 great directors that you might know who tweeted about it, Chris Lord and Phil Miller. I'm gonna be putting the tweets up here so you can read them. I'm honestly incredibly hyped about this movie, and I hope hope that we'll get to see it one day. The new teaser of Terrifier 3 is finally out, and it is clouded in controversy, where a lot of people have been saying on Twitter that they don't want to see it and they don't want to talk to anyone who would want to see it, just because it is basically hinted at that Art the Clown is going to be killing a child who is going downstairs expecting to see Santa, but it's not really Santa, right?
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me!
In the teaser trailer, which looks quite fun, we don't really see any graphic violence, we just see almost like the outcome of it. So I really don't understand why this controversy is actually real, because we don't really know whether the child is gonna be killed on screen or not and how it's gonna look. So what are we talking about, right? I feel like people are getting upset for nothing at all. Then we talk about the Garfield trailer, which is finally out and you can check it out. I'm a huge fan of Garfield and this looks incredibly cute and I really recommend that you check it out. Then Shadow and Bone is officially cancelled after 2 seasons by Netflix, and funny enough, they're now blaming SAG-AFTRA for it and basically saying that it's their fault that the show was cancelled, even though it's 100% not true. People have been going insane on Twitter, asking other streamers to buy the property and to save it basically for a 3rd season. Honestly, it's not really a good adaptation because they tried to mix in Six of Crows with Shadow and Bone stuff. So I'm kind of happy that it died, but maybe don't let the fans know, otherwise I'll be crucified online without a doubt. This is a fun piece of news and it has to do with Ridley Scott reacting to the critics of Napoleon and saying some of the funniest shit I've ever heard. Like, the French don't even like themselves when it comes to criticizing the French critics who didn't like the movie. And also things like, when I see the historians have issues with the movie, I ask, excuse me mate, were you there? No? Well, shut the fuck up then. I just find it incredibly funny that he would react to things this way, so I wanted to let you know. And for a last piece of news, I wanted to talk about Fantastic Four and all the casting news, talking about Reed Richards specifically and also Galactus. Very quick, because this is not officially announced. Everyone has been like sort of officially announcing it, but the director himself didn't really say anything at all, because Marvel, I'm pretty sure that they want to announce the entire cast all at once, the family, the Fantastic Four. But basically Pedro Pascal is rumored to be playing Reed Richards, and it's not 100% confirmed because it's a scheduling issue with him filming on Last of Us and Gladiator 2 and another movie as well. And other rumored news that Javier Bardem is gonna be playing Galactus. 100% rumored, this is not maybe true at all, but I didn't want to put it in the top news. I want to put it in the bonus news because I feel like people have been discussing it too much without actually being official, you know? But anyways, those are all the news that I had for this week. See you next week to tear apart some more news about movies and TV shows. I'm Patrick, and this is Torn Apart News.
Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show.
Da 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 da.